So, finally the cut content. There's quite a lot actually.
Who
I
doesn't
went
love content?
I'm sure many people will love this who are fans of this game. I went into it with a hex editor and mostly did just save editing. But for some reason, your save game stores all the objects on the levels, the NPCs, the doors. I don't know why they did it this way.
The doors.
I can,
Doors are saved.
for example, I can replace the blacksmith with Talos.
Funny.
But first, let's take a look at Kafu, everyone's favorite Elko clone.
Ah, yes. The only character you never play as.
He has a portrait in the game. And
Wow, that's not his hair color.
that's right. And his weapon is the Aclorian Blaster. I wasn't able to capture a good image of it. I just replaced one of the Monster Compendium entries. Because those two store which image and which description to show. For some reason, they programmed it this way.
Some programmers just have weird methods.
So let's read it, the description. Although it is old, Kafu finds his Aclorian Blaster dependable and effective.
Do you have stats for it?
No, it's not in the game, not implemented.
Ah.
But I'm sure it was just as bad as Alexin's weapon. And here you can see that I gave Elko Kafu's armor. It's called the Dark Light gear. The mystic tattoos of Kafu lend protective power for his otherwise flimsy armor.
That's what we call enchantment.
Too bad that Kafu's model does not have the tattoos, only in the cutscenes.
Weird.
Here I entered a blacksmith and the game has an exception handling for armors which do not have armor slots.
Strangely smart of them.
And some nice shots of Kafu for the fans.
What happened to his hand? Oh, it's still there, okay.
Still there.
I thought his hand was gone.
No, it's still there. He has both hands, Elko only has one arm. One thing I don't understand about his design is the exposed chest combined with that color. It sends the wrong vibes to me.
I think his wife might be very different from Tilly.
You might be right. Here
Pose
he's
for the camera.
with a gun this time, because this is still Elko. From a different angle. Now, some shots of his jetpack, the double rockets.
The double rockets.
They only have
Which
one.
has only one thingy.
And here you can see both Elko and Kafu in the same cutscene with the same armor. So yes,
I can just imagine that these are both Kafu, and then Elko is off screen talking about that line. That crystal is part of my research project with has nothing to do with these two guys who look like me.
so basically Kafu and what are the others? Kazel, Lexine and Nico are just copy-pasted, and the armor is the one which makes them look like this.
Ah.
Now, there are some cut items which have their descriptions in the game, but you can't sell them. There's a large fish
Wow, a large fish.
and a
And
little
what?
fish.
Wow, a little fish.
And a special fishing bait, but you get to see this one during the cargo shipment quest.
That is some master level bait.
Yeah, some quest related to Brightwater, perhaps.
Mm-hmm.
Illumina has its own crystal. This one is already installed when you start the game. The description of all these crystals is the same. So let's skip over that. And then there's this, I don't know how you pronounce this, Arak, whatever.
Audek? Arik? I don't know, like, kind of know a guy with a similar name, so.
Yeah. This might be related to Sudeki-mo or the Dark Sudeki-mo, that is bareki-mo, I don't know. Even the game's manual has these items for some reason. Then there's a school key. And
Large silver key and a keychain.
silver stamp petals.
A silver plant, huh?
This must be related to the Science City, because the university is also called the school there. Now, these are definitely from the Science City Transcentia. Raw mineral. This is what you collect with Ta and Buki down in the mines.
Mm-hmm.
A huge lump of jagged grey rock that Transcendine scientists can process into useful metals. It might fetch a florin from the nearest trader.
And it doesn't have a price on it, right?
No, it does not appear in the inventory of the trader. And then there's this antiquing gem, which is similar, but you never see this in the game.
Just another generic gem, it seems.
Now the next one has a quite rude description.
A huge lump of plain old rock. You really did not want to find this. It's not worth anything to the local traders. Better luck next time.
How nice.
How nice. Ordinary rock.
And this is the decryption device they use to enter the Kren dungeon, that boss arena. But I think that this was originally intended for you to find out about the Dark World. Or it might not be the case, but it just has these undertones to me. And there's
what else?
Sorry?
What else have we got?
The Omnium Crystal map. This is the map that both Hayton and then Elko take out. It is a map of Crystal Reef. You don't get this in your inventory.
Maybe there was a plan to find it.
Or to make it.
Or to make it, yeah.
I think with a decryption device. Now the monsters, another fun part.
Ah, this is the part I've been waiting for.
As I mentioned, the Monster Compendium entries store both the image and the description of all the entries in it. So all I did was open the main file of the game, where I saw a bunch of image names, and then I took those image names and replaced them. So these screenshots are not the best, but I tried. Here are the standard Illumina soldiers. You fight elite versions with Elko. Then there's middle stages of the enemies, the Shadow Venom net. You can find the so-called blood net in the Dark World. It has the same 1 HP, and not only does it poison you, it also slows you. And then there's the Shadow version, which never got used. There's a Shadow Wolf. This is Boki's summon.
Oh.
And I don't know why it has that parrot texture or whatever that is supposed to be.
Yeah, I have no idea. That's like a parrot beak or something.
It's weird. Speaking of weird, there's the Weird Lord. A middle stage.
A weird lord.
A middle stage of the War Weird and the Weird Warlord.
It's very weird.
Yeah.
It's like...
I think that I saw this one specifically being summoned by the snakes. It looked blue. And there's some random robotic knight. The others look the same, but
the spelling is atrocious. That's not how you spell knight.
Speaking of spelling, for some reason the ogre is called Mango Mofo in the game.
The Mango Mofo.
You encounter these in the Chlorian Stronghold.
The Mango Mofo. That's perfect.
And then the flying heads from the Shadow World on the bridge. There's a grey one, and then the skull that Talos summons is called Sacrifice.
Straight and to the point, I guess.
And there's a lot of skeleton enemies in the game.
The easiest thing in the game to model.
They just added armor and weapons.
Yep.
We didn't get to encounter them, but this is their entry. It's the same accursed one sprite with one of the Vessel of Souls sprites next to it. So you just have to destroy the Vessel of Souls because you can't damage the skeletons. Of course, your AI allies go after the skeletons.
Isn't that natural?
They have a poison breath which also halves your defense. And the poison does 200, so it's very, very severe.
That's kind of in my face. You took the perfect screenshot.
This one was taken by the developers. This is a promotional shot.
Nice one, devs.
Yeah. The final version has blue markings instead of yellow. Now, what you have been waiting for, the Dilodactyl.
I'm ready for it. What is the Dilodactyl gonna look like?
Well, it tells us that this is a hammerhead lizard with water-resistant skin. There's this item we get many times from random chests. Even Nico's armor is made of Dilodactyl hide. So, what do they look like?
Well, they don't fly, it seems. Which, if they're supposed to be pterodactyls, then that's a little disappointing. I don't see where the Dillo comes in either.
Armadillo? I don't know. It's weird.
If the Vino version, if it inflicts poison, then that makes sense.
And the Petro version is the one which was supposed to be in Transcentia. And there is another enemy.
But it was not.
There is another enemy with a robotic counterpart. the Scorpion.
What in the world is that face?
It's quite disturbing and funny at the same time. There's Ice Soul, which suggests that there was an area before the Glorian Stronghold. And then there's Scorp Iron, the robotic version.
Scorp Iron, is that how it's pronounced? I thought they just added an R and called it a day.
Probably Iron because it's a metal version with circular saw.
Very creative to put the buzzsaw on the arm, though. That's nice. And the drill.
And there's concept art for it.
I'm covering my eyes.
Maybe this was too disturbing and that's why they took it out.
Probably.
These aquatic enemies, I have no idea what they are.
Well, Cephalo implies squid, I think. But then you have Tetraphiendai.
Eye and Mo, because one has an eye on its chest and the other has a mouth on its chest.
Yeah, I caught that. The Ventrasaur moth. Or the Ventrasauri. I don't know.
Perhaps
these enemy names are weird.
Perhaps they're earlier versions of the grotto enemies.
Perhaps.
And here are the dark spiders, and below them are some beta spiders. I don't know why.
Including the glue spider that we all love.
Yeah. I don't know why the dark ones are called spider mites. What does that even mean?
Maybe they're smaller?
But they also look like that they could be earlier versions because they don't have claws, just these straight lines sticking out of their tendrils. And then there are these enemies which I have no idea where they could have been. The smoke golem, well, that's probably on Devil's Belch Canyon. The Uberfiend, I don't know. And Bound Flesh.
Uberfiend.
Bound Flesh just looks like an earlier version of the snake with the 4 heads. Well, it's creepy anyway.
Yeah, they were. If they were going for creepy enemies, they certainly got there.
Maybe it was too creepy.
What's the rating for this game again?
I don't know. It has full frontal assault. So it
so
could
probably
have been,
like not for kids.
Yeah. But for these enemies, maybe they backpedaled.
Maybe.
And the best enemy names.
Heartless.
Captain
Evil
Heartless.
Smiley.
Evil Smiley.
Are those okay, these are just file names, right?
No, these are the Scarecrow enemies.
Oh, okay. Never mind. That's a little more acceptable.
Captain Heartless has anchors to attack with.
Anchors away, matey.
And has some weird headpiece.
That's not a pirate hat.
It's like a jester's hat.
Oh no, more of the...
And there's concept art of other enemies.
Oh, that one looks cool, actually. You got this long drill spear. You got the tractors. You got the metal parts. It's all really nice.
Yeah, this is a lot cooler than what we got in the research center. And then there's the Mistral.
the Mistral.
Whatever this is. They
I
finished
kind of like
modeling
it.
it.
Yeah, I kind of like it.
And it attacks with some sort of flame. Perhaps it was a caster, a magic user.
Mm-hmm.
And there's an earlier version of the grotesque. The one that the Aclorians have. The self-destructing enemy.
Ah, I see.
But it has this vine spawning animation which the words have. So perhaps at this point this was just considered a demonic enemy. A demonic enemy. And there are concept arts and earlier versions of the characters as well.
Now these ought to be interesting.
Well, you will see. We get to see an earlier version of Elko, and he looks so horrible on this.
Oh, is that him all the way on the right? Oh my goodness.
Yes. Red uniform, blue hair. There's
The
also
weird nose thing.
there's also an early Tal with that weird white hair. But Tal's father has white hair as well.
Wait a minute, that could be Tal's brother.
Perhaps.
Wait a sec.
And Buki has longer hair.
That looks like Elko's hair. Elko and Buki switched hair.
But on the left,
So if this white-haired Tal actually looks like that portrait in his room.
it does.
So that's
And
very
here
interesting.
you can see the concept art of white hair Tal.
Uh-huh.
And an earlier version of
Maybe they
Ailish.
just never changed the portrait in the room.
It could be.
That's funny to think about.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Now this version of Ailish does not have the full frontal assault yet.
No!
She looks much more anime-like.
Actually accurate to Japanese anime art style, which is what they were going for.
There is another version of Tal before the final one. And you won't like this, I'm sure.
Okay. I don't know what I'm looking at. Oh, here we go.
He has the weird eyebrows.
Oh yeah, the eyebrows.
Now, here is the
And
earlier
oh
version
goodness,
of Buki.
please, no.
On the right you can see the final version of her. On the left, her first version. And in the middle is Buki's dark part, Nico, which is just Buki's first version, but with grey hair.
That explains why she's not a palette swap. Because they were going off of the original version of Buki when they made her.
That's right.
Jesus, Mary and Joseph, these outfits.
And you can see
They make
her
Soul
old
Calibur
model.
look tame.
That winking face is so creepy.
Oh, I see she's got the cat's eye on her collar.
And this is the only concept art of the final forms I was able to find. But oh my god, what they made out of it is so embarrassing.
What's even more embarrassing is that she never fights.
You are right. And they did this too.
Oh, that's something I don't want to think about.
Now, this is Talos. He looks much more like an anime antagonist on this version.
What, that's him down in the bottom left?
That's right.
He looks so uncool. Final Talos is so much cooler.
And he has this Shadani warrior vibe. So maybe he was originally intended to do something with the animal people, like everything else in the game is centered around the animal people.
You know, that's something else too. When you showed me those animal people in the early parts of the game, I thought, "Oh, they're going to be important later," but they actually wound up not doing a whole lot.
Yeah, and they have a village in the shadow world as well. So on all three worlds they are there, and Kemo is there as well. So I don't know what they intended to do with them, but all of that probably got cut.
Yep, that's a shame.
And another character which we never get to see in game is the Dark Lord Haigu. Here's a concept art of him, and they made Talos
I'm
look
glad
like
we never see that.
more creepiness.
Uh-huh.
They gave Talos this spike growth and that horn instead of the hair.
Mm-hmm.
And here's our favorite.
Guten Guten Tag. I think I'm seeing that right.
Right. German.
Wait, this was on IGN. Oh my goodness. That's terrible.
So they were going for the funny things from the beginning.
This is so 2004, you know.
Yeah. And the menu was more complex and much more
Oh my god.
similar to
Oh my
Final
goodness.
Fantasy.
Attributes. There were attributes and they cut that.
Yeah. They simplified it probably for the Western gamer.
Yes, us very low intelligence Western gamers.
There are some locations as well. There's a prototype from 2004 which I was able to get a hold of, and these seem to be build files or the CD burn files, which list of many of these files which I was not able to access, but there's a list of them.
These are music files?
That's right. Soul stands for Symphony of Light, the game's original name.
Wish I'd gone with that.
Yeah. You can see here Hikaria, the original name of Illumina. And
Which they still use from time to time.
In the later cutscenes with the shadow characters. Probably they didn't have time to reshoot them or re-record them. Age training that happened, Brightwater something, another Brightwater, the Coppertooth Mountains. This is on the way to Transcentia. There's a grotto here for some reason. We never see this in the light world.
Oh, they were gonna show this off at E3, I think, because E3 fix means they had to fix it in time for E3, maybe.
Yeah, there is an E3 version, and I will get to that a bit later.
Alright.
Okay, see, there's new Temple of Mo, because originally the game was not intended for Xbox, but perhaps one of the PlayStations, and they had Shadanimo and the temple made then. And there is a Rumble Belly. This is Rumble Belly Canyon, the light counterpart to Devil's Belch Canyon. In the end, this got renamed into the Spirit Canyon. And for some weird reason, there's music tracks for both of them. Rumble Belly is used for the normal walking of the Devil's Bash Canyon, and when you enter a fight in Devil's Bash Canyon, they use a Devil's Bash soundtrack.
Mm.
And there's the Talos battle score. I don't know what that could have been.
Final boss theme?
Might be. You can see some Realm of Shadows locations here. Bareki-mo, again the animal people. Halls of Omnia is the final area, because the soundtrack is called the same.
Weird.
I don't know what the Indigo Steps were and what the Shadow Forest could have been, but this looks like a hub world because there's east, north, south, west.
And this is interesting. Are there like MP3s or something? Some kind of playable sound?
Unfortunately, there's only the official soundtrack, and it does not include these.
Unfortunate.
The Dark World, Akloria, originally called Kuria, has a lot of locations cut. There's bareki-mo, Crystal Eden. I don't know what that could have been. Probably related to Crystal Reef. There was a Scientine countryside. There's the Colossal Graveyard. This one has a soundtrack as well, and it is used for the first ogre fight in the game.
Just that one fight?
Just that one. The Kurian military camp is the Aclorian stronghold. Then there's Teflingborg, no idea, and the Tetsu Shrine.
We never go to any Tetsu Shrine in the final game, I think.
Teflingborg E3, so it was showcased. I didn't see any footage of it.
Yeah.
Here you can see an earlier version of Transcentia. It looks much darker.
Dark World variant, maybe?
Could be. Or just an earlier version.
Either way.
The location of the house is the same. That green thing is the university where we met Hayton. And this is the inside. The same room we fight Kren.
Nice.
And they don't have Elko here. Now let's take a look at what I could find out about bareki-mo. Here you can see minimap files. There were 10s for all of the NPCs and 1 for Nico. And you can see just a recolored Sudeki.
I see.
This one looks much better than the in-game version. I think developers used to do this. They would send news sites better versions than the console was capable of rendering.
Yeah, that sounds like standard E3 practice.
These are the only images.
It's never as good as the trailers make it seem.
But this looks atmospheric and I like it. Here's the outpost, also known as the Aclorian stronghold. There's Wasser's peaks we were able to see, and there are some insides which suggest that the stronghold used to be much larger and it was cut for some reason as well. Armory Upper, East Barracks, East Side Room 1, Furnace East, General's Quarters, Kitchen, Officer's Quarters Upper, Relic Room, and West Barracks.
Sounds like a lot of rooms.
Yeah. And here you can see the old model of Bouquet.
And Tall's kind of interested in it, I see.
Instead of the drawbridge, you had a route leading directly to there.
Nice castles.
Then they added those chains and made it to be on a cliff. And here you can see that there are soldiers nearby a campfire. This is the final version, almost the final. The campfire was replaced by the portal.
Oh.
And this one was sent to IGN.
Yeah, that definitely looks like a way better render.
And a much larger area. They could have faked it, or I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But this is one of the trailers. There's a house here with boxes. I don't know what this could have been. This looks like a mine to me. And then here's an armory.
Nice spelling. I know it's the British spelling, but gotta point it out.
This looks like one of the rooms we were in the final version. So they might have faked this as well. Even the nameplate is in that room, but without any text. Now this one is definitely a cut room.
I've certainly never seen that globe before.
Yeah, that's the only thing that sticks out. The carpet is the same one, which is in the room with... How do you call those? I think it was called Carlos, the dark version of Tar's father. That
Something
has
like that.
this same carpet. And there are some enemies here. You could already see the skeletons, then there are the wolves. They are in the final version as well. This one is familiar. They put another wolf here. This accompanied the soldiers. And for some reason, even the robots were here.
Oh man, it's got a laser. It's like a Breath of the Wild Guardian.
Robots and the suicide droids as well. Those tube-like things. As an Easter egg, they took the turret which shoots out the suicide droid and used it as a decoration for the final version. You can see it on both sides. It's the same turret.
Well, that's getting some use out of your assets.
There's a trailer which shows the turret shooting out the droid, so it even had that animation. And there are some other locations I don't know anything about. The Kill Bill Dojo and the School of Elemental. Crystal Reef also has an armor trader inside and a muesli fur warehouse. And this is the Shadow post or pre-Xbox era. I don't know what any of these locations could have been, but Hexam was moved into the Shadow World. He's the vulture we meet.
Ah.
And another area from the Shadow World, which we never get to see.
Shame. Looks pretty cool.
And so to summarize, there's Hikaria and there's Kuria. Both have their counterparts. The Scientan countryside never got finished. Instead, Devil's Belch Canyon was used as the hub world. I think Crystal Eden probably belonged to Crystal Reef, and the Curaçao graveyard probably belonged to bareki-mo. And then the city for the dark Transcentia was never finished, but Wasser's Peaks and the dungeon, the Aclorian Stronghold, were finished. Instead of the Tetsu Shrine, we got the Tree of Woe and the Eagle Rock, which is a shrine to Olivites.
And you can see where time kind of caught up with them.
And the Shadow Ram had those 3 areas which I mentioned, so they probably intended for us to use all 4 of the new characters when they merge in a final dungeon. But instead we get dropped into the final battle, and that's all.
So unfortunate.
Well, an email was posted with one of the developers, and they mentioned a few things. Would you like to read it out?
Sure. The Dark World in Sudeki originally should be as rich for exploration as Haskelia. Players can fully control the 4 shadow player characters, including Cafu. Those 4 dark versions of your initial 4 main player characters had equal share of spotlight and storyline in the game, and their skills would finally reintegrate back into your 4 main player characters, etc. There was no first-person shooting style like Ailish and Elko. Player got 2 Talls and also 2 Ailish, etc. are planned because the game is for them to know each other, grow up in strength, and then merge. Well, those days, we like to have strong story backup with the game following the Final Fantasy approach. I think that's what FF means.
Probably.
The cut and the rush came from... I just love that.
That's a nice spelling.
MS with a $sign.
Tells you everything about this person's opinion.
Yeah. Okay, let me start from the beginning. The cut and the rush came from Microsoft Xbox bought it as an executive. I think you mean exclusive. Additional game director and producer were introduced into the development team. Also, they tried to launch for Christmas. 40 hours of gameplay was reduced to 24 hours. Imagine, the cut from the game, mainly the Shadow World and also the storyline, was dramatic. About 30% of FMA, whatever that is, were not in the final release, even though we had storyboard and completed them. I remember those movies were of Shadow World and the good one where Tal was tortured and Ailish/Gazelle had to rescue him. The task for the player was great because they were forced to use certain player characters to complete this rescue. An initial well-balanced and multi-time flexible playing game was turned into a linear RPG. The game wasn't rushed, but axed. Microsoft had also made a mess in the marketing and promotion that aimed at gimmick rather than realistic. Spending a fortune on gimmick is not going to tell buyer what the game is made of. Hence, their incompetent led to the IP did not seem worthy for Microsoft to continue. No sequel because no big game for Microsoft, and also because the original team went of their merry way for other projects. Microsoft cannot reinvent the game engine that in our old days written especially for the game, not like nowadays pulling off by third-party Unreal Engine. See, I told you the age of Unreal was coming. Name this game Sudeki from Japanese, but again, Microsoft misspelt it and quickly used the word as the name of the world, etc. Ha ha ha.
And Sudeki means wonderful, or something similar.
Well, this is most certainly not Sudeki.
I mean, what was the mindset behind this? Perhaps they knew what Sudoku was, and then... Sudeki!
Well, that's a good one.
That's the only thing I can think of. And then, in one of the soundtracks, which was called Theme from Scientine, there's a line from Tal's voice actor which says, "Your father cried out your name when I slit his throat." And at the end, he says, I weep for no one, and no one weeps for me. This is almost the same which Talos says before the final battle, but father was changed to brother.
Hmm.
And we know that this is addressed to Tal. And this confirms to me that Taz and Talos' voice actor are the same. So perhaps there was a plot regarding Tal's father because he just disappears from the game after apologizing.
You know something, though? We narrowly avoided repeating the old villain kills the protagonist's father thing. So, maybe that's good.
Yeah, maybe for the better.
Mm-hmm.
And as he said, gimmick instead of realism. Do you know what else they did for the promotion?
What did they do? Remember, people, this is what Western devs think JRPGs are all about.
I'm not even going to comment on this. But let's leave it at that. That was all I
That
could
needs to
find.
be on a greeting card.
Thank you, Ephraim, for joining me for this walkthrough. You added a lot.
It's no trouble at all. Thanks for having me.
And I wanted to do this game justice by showing everyone all of this and digging through finding all this. I hope I succeeded.
I think you did. That was very fun to look at.
Thank you for sticking with us. I have been Kartal.
And I'm Ephraim 225.
See you next time.